The discovery hit me like a freight train, shattering the silence of the afternoon. As I sifted through the pile of neglected mail, my fingers trembled upon an envelope with the bold print, "Termination Notice." It was addressed to Nathan. My heart raced, confusion clouding my thoughts. Why would Nathan be terminated? The apartment felt colder, the air heavier, as if bracing for a storm. I dialed Nathan's number, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. "Julia, what's up? Calling in the middle of the day?" His voice, usually warm, now seemed distant, guarded. "Nathan, I found something odd in the mail. It's a termination notice." "What happened?" I tried to keep my voice steady, but panic laced my words. "I'm on a business trip in Seattle, Julia. Can't talk now. I'm in me later." The line went dead before I could protest. A business trip? The lie was blatant, almost insulting. Nathan hadn't mentioned any trips. My mind raced, piecing together his recent late nights and evasive answers. Something wasn't right. Needing clarity, I called my former boss, Linda. Her surprise at hearing my voice did little to ease my anxiety. "Julia Wells? This is unexpected. How can I help?" Linda's voice was warm but carried an undercurrent of confusion. "It's about Nathan. I found a termination notice, and he's saying he's on a business trip. I'm just trying to understand what's happening." My voice cracked, betraying my attempt at composure. There was a pause, heavy and loaded, before Linda responded. "Julia, you didn't know? Nathan was let go over a month ago. There was an incident. He leaked confidential information to a competitor." The room spun, and I struggled to breathe. Betrayal, sharp and bitter, coursed through me. "Leaked information? But why?" Linda sighed. "It's a mess, Julia. There were rumors about him and Eve, the new secretary. Both disappeared after the incident. It's believed she was involved with someone from the competitor's side. A setup, possibly." "Eve?" The name stung, a missing piece to a puzzle I hadn't realized I was assembling. Memories flashed, Nathan's late returns, his phone buzzing with messages he'd quickly hide. It all made sense now, a narrative of deceit I had been too blind to see. I need to think about this. Thank you, Linda." My voice was a whisper drowned out by the roaring in my ears. The call ended, leaving me adrift in a sea of betrayal. My marriage, built on love and trust, now lay in ruins, the foundation eroded by lies and infidelity. Nathan's voice echoed in my mind, a mocking reminder of the facade he had maintained. Anger bubbled within me, a fierce, burning need for retribution. Nathan and Eve, their deceit had not only shattered my trust, but jeopardized my future. They would not get away with this. I would make sure of it. As I stood in the silent apartment, a plan began to form. I would confront Nathan, demand answers, and then I would make them pay. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, and I intended to serve it frozen. With newfound resolve, I packed a bag. It was time to return to my family, to the home where love and honesty still held meaning. There I would heal, and there I would plot my next move. Nathan and Eve had awakened a fury within me, one that would not rest until justice was served. The drive back to my parents' house was a blur, the landscape passing by unnoticed. My thoughts were consumed by visions of confrontation and vindication. The once cherished memories of Nathan and me now soured, replaced by the bitter taste of betrayal. As the familiar outline of my parents' home came into view, a sense of determination settled over me. Nathan and Eve's deceit had marked the end of one chapter in my life, but it was also the beginning of another. One where I would reclaim my dignity and emerge stronger, no longer a victim of their treachery. The stage was set, the players aligned. It was time for the shadows of deceit to give way to the light of retribution. Returning to my family's home felt like stepping into a different world, one where the shadows of Nathan's betrayal couldn't reach. The warmth of the hearth and the familiar scent of wood shavings offered a balm to my bruised heart. Yet as I settled into the rhythm of my childhood home, the contrast between my past and present couldn't have been starker. My father, ever the stoic craftsman, noticed my turmoil. "Julia, you're home early. Is everything all right?" His voice, roughened by years of work, carried a note of concern. I forced a smile, the weight of my secret heavy on my shoulders. "Just needed a break from the city, Dad. It's nice to be back." He nodded, sensing the unspoken words between us. "Well, you're always welcome here. This home is your sanctuary." The dinner table was a tableau of familial warmth, a stark contrast to the cold lies Nathan had served. My mother's keen eyes watched me, her intuition sharp. "Julia, you've been quiet tonight. Is there something on your mind?" The floodgates opened. Under the soft glow of the dining room light, I spilled the bitter truth of Nathan's deceit, his affair with Eve, and the termination notice that had shattered my world. My brother Alex clenched his fists, the muscles in his jaw working. "That coward! To think he'd betray you like this, and with a secretary no less. He'll regret this, Julia. I'll make sure of it." "No, Alex," I interjected, my voice firm despite the turmoil within. "This is my battle. I'll handle Nathan and Eve. They'll pay for what they've done." The resolve in my family's eyes fortified my own. This betrayal would not define me. Nathan and Eve's deception would be met with a reckoning, one crafted with the precision and care my family poured into their work. In the days that followed, my sanctuary became a fortress of planning. The serene backdrop of the woods and the workshop's steady rhythm fueled my resolve. I began documenting everything, collecting evidence of Nathan's betrayal and his professional misconduct. Each piece of evidence was a nail in the coffin I was building for Nathan's deceit. One afternoon, as I sat in the workshop, surrounded by the comforting scent of cedar and maple, my phone rang. It was Nathan, his voice oozing false concern. "Julia, darling, why haven't you been answering my calls? I've been worried about you." The term of endearment, once sweet, now tasted like poison. "Worried? That's rich, Nathan. Or should I be asking Eve how concerned you really are?" There was a pause, a moment of silence where the facade cracked. "Julia, it's not what you think. Eve is just a colleague. Nothing more." I laughed, a sound sharp and cold. "Save your lies, Nathan. I know about the termination notice, the affair, everything. You're nothing but a coward who hides behind lies and deceit." Nathan's voice hardened, the mask slipping further. "You're overreacting, Julia. We can talk about this. Fix it." "Fix it?" My voice rose, fueled by anger and betrayal. "There's nothing left to fix. You've made your choice, and now you'll live with the consequences." I hung up, cutting off any retort he might have had. The finality of the act was liberating, a declaration of war against the man who had vowed to love and protect me. As the days turned into weeks, my resolve only strengthened. With my family's support, I began to rebuild, finding solace in the beauty of nature and the legacy of craftsmanship that had defined my lineage. My heart, though bruised, began to mend, fortified by the knowledge that retribution was within reach. Nathan and Eve's day of reckoning was coming. The echoes of their deceit would be drowned out by the whispers of retribution, a melody I intended to compose with meticulous care. The stage was set, and I was ready to take my stand. The next phase of my plan unfolded with a cold, deliberate precision. Armed with evidence of Nathan's duplicity and his affair with Eve, I sought legal counsel, ready to sever the ties that bound us in matrimony and deceit. My lawyer, a woman of sharp intellect and unwavering resolve, listened intently as I laid bare the extent of Nathan's betrayal. "As far as cases go, Julia, this one is as clear-cut as they come. We'll file for divorce on the grounds of infidelity and emotional distress. And rest assured, we'll make sure Nathan and his accomplice face the consequences of their actions," she assured me, her voice laced with a promise of retribution. Fueled by a mix of vindication and sorrow, I returned home, where my family awaited, their support unwavering. It was during these moments, surrounded by the comforting embrace of my family, that my resolve hardened. Nathan and Eve's deception would not go unpunished. The confrontation I had longed for came sooner than expected. Nathan, in a rare moment of courage or perhaps folly, arrived at my parents' doorstep, his expression a mixture of guilt and defiance. "Julia, we need to talk. I can explain everything," he began, stepping into the living room where my family and I stood united. "Explain? Explain how you lied, cheated, and risked our future for a fling?" My voice was calm, but beneath the surface, a storm raged. "It wasn't just a fling, Julia. Eve, she understands me in ways you never did," Nathan countered, his words slicing through the air like a knife. The room fell silent, the audacity of his admission hanging heavily between us. My brother Alex stepped forward, his anger barely contained. "You're pathetic, Nathan, to come here into our home and insult my sister with your vile excuses." "Enough," I interjected, my gaze locked on Nathan. "Your words mean nothing to me now. You've made your choice, and I've made mine. We're done, Nathan. I want a divorce, and I'll make sure everyone knows the kind of man you truly are." Nathan's facade crumbled, revealing a glimpse of the cowardice I had come to despise. "Julia, please, let's not make this messier than it needs to be. Think about what you're doing." "I have thought about it, Nathan. Every single day and night since I discovered your betrayal, you're the one who hasn't thought about the consequences of your actions. But you will. Oh, you will," I promised, my words icy. With that, Nathan left, his departure as unremarkable as his presence had become in my life. The door closing behind him felt symbolic, the final chapter of our shared life ending with a soft yet resounding click. In the days that followed, the legal proceedings began. Every step, from filing the divorce papers to serving Nathan with the notice, felt like shedding the weight of a life built on lies. The evidence of his infidelity and the repercussions of his professional misconduct painted a damning picture, one that left little room for sympathy. The community, once oblivious to Nathan's true nature, began to see him for what he was. His reputation, both personal and professional, unraveled, a fitting retribution for the pain he had caused. Eve, too, found herself ostracized, her role in Nathan's life, and their collective betrayal exposed for all to see. As the legal battle waged on, I found strength in my family's unwavering support and the work that grounded me. The workshop, with its chorus of hammers and saws, became my sanctuary, a place where I could lose myself in the beauty of creation and the simplicity of honest labor. Nathan and Eve's downfall was a slow, inevitable spiral, their actions catching up to them in a cascade of legal and social repercussions. The satisfaction of seeing justice served was bittersweet, a reminder of the cost of their betrayal. Yet amidst the chaos, I found peace. The veil of deceit had been lifted, revealing a path forward, one where I could rebuild my life on my terms, surrounded by the love and integrity of my family. The chapter of Nathan and Eve was closing, but mine was just beginning, a narrative of resilience, redemption, and ultimately renewal. In the weeks that followed Nathan's departure and the initiation of our legal battles, I immersed myself in the work and traditions of my family's craft. The workshop, with its timeless rhythm and the scent of fresh wood, became my solace and my strength. It was here, amid the shavings and the sculptures, that a plan began to take shape. A plan not just for revenge, but for reclaiming my life and legacy. My parents, sensing a change within me, offered their silent support, their love a constant amidst the turmoil. It was during one of our evening gatherings, the golden light of sunset filtering through the windows, that my father spoke up, his voice breaking the comfortable silence. "Julia, your mother and I have been talking. We know you're going through a lot, but we also see the strength in you. The workshop. It's always been a part of who we are, and we think it's time it became a part of your future, too." His words, simple yet profound, struck a chord within me. The workshop wasn't just a place of business. It was a legacy, a testament to the values and skills passed down through generations. And now it was offering me a path forward, a way to rebuild and to make Nathan and Eve's betrayal a distant memory. As I pondered my father's words, my brother Alex brought news that added fuel to my resolve. "I heard from a friend in town, Nathan and Eve. They're trying to spin the story, make it seem like you were the one at fault." Anger flared within me, hot and fierce. "They're trying to tarnish my name? After everything they've done?" Alex nodded, his own anger mirroring mine. "But they're not finding it easy. Seems your story, the truth, is already out there. People are siding with you, Julia. Nathan and Eve, they're the ones being shunned." The news was a balm to my wounded heart. The community's support was unexpected but deeply appreciated. It reinforced my determination to not only clear my name, but to ensure Nathan and Eve faced the full consequences of their actions. With renewed purpose, I threw myself into the workshop, learning the intricacies of our craft from my father and the other artisans. Each piece I worked on, each design I sketched, felt like a step away from my past and toward a new beginning. And as I worked, I planned. The evidence I had gathered against Nathan and Eve was damning, but I wanted more than just legal victory. I wanted to expose them for who they truly were, to show the world their deceit and their cowardice. My opportunity came sooner than expected. A local community event, a showcase of artisans and craftsmen from our area, was approaching. It was the perfect platform to not only promote our family's work, but to publicly reclaim my story. "I'm going to present at the event," I announced to my family one evening, a sense of purpose infusing my words. "It's time I stepped out of the shadows Nathan and Eve tried to cast over me." My family's approval was unanimous, their pride in my resilience a tangible thing. Preparations for the event began in earnest, with each of us contributing to the collection of pieces we would display. But my contribution would be more than just crafts. It would be my declaration of independence from Nathan's betrayal, a showcase of strength forged in the fires of adversity. The day of the event arrived, a buzz of excitement filling the air as the community gathered to celebrate local talent. My heart pounded with a mix of nerves and anticipation as I took my place behind our display, the woodwork gleaming under the soft lights. As I spoke to the attendees, explaining the history and the heart behind each piece, I felt a sense of empowerment. Nathan and Eve's attempt to undermine me had failed. Here, among my peers and my community, I stood tall, my reputation untarnished. And then, amidst the crowd, I saw them. Nathan and Eve, their expressions a mix of surprise and unease as they realized the support surrounding me. The moment our eyes met, I knew. The battle may have been long and painful, but the victory was mine. Their deceit had been exposed, their reputations irrevocably damaged by their own actions. The event was a triumph, not just for our family's business, but for me personally. I had faced the worst kind of betrayal and emerged stronger, my spirit unbroken. Nathan and Eve's shadows no longer loomed over me. I had stepped into the light, my future bright with promise and possibility. As the community rallied around me, offering congratulations and support, I realized that this was just the beginning. My journey from the depths of despair to the heights of redemption was a testament to the power of resilience and the unbreakable bonds of family. Nathan and Eve had sought to destroy me, but in their malice, they had only forged a stronger, more determined Julia Wells. And as I looked toward the future, I knew there was nothing I couldn't overcome. In the aftermath of the community event, the winds of change began to blow through my life with a newfound intensity. The support of the community had not only bolstered my spirits, but had also painted a target on Nathan and Eve's backs. Their attempts to navigate the social circles they once dominated were met with cold shoulders and disdainful whispers. My story, rooted in truth and resilience, had reshaped the narrative, casting them in the stark light of reality. As the divorce proceedings advanced, I was summoned to a mediation session, a final attempt to resolve matters without further court intervention. The prospect of facing Nathan and Eve, not just as the wronged party, but as an empowered woman reclaiming her narrative, filled me with a sense of grim satisfaction. The mediation room was sterile, the air thick with tension. Nathan sat across from me, his usual arrogance replaced by a sullen resignation. Eve was not present, a fact that spoke volumes about the fractures in their facade. "Nathan, we're here to finalize the terms of the divorce. It's clear that the marriage cannot be salvaged," the mediator began, her voice neutral yet firm. Nathan's gaze met mine, a flicker of something. Regret, perhaps, or merely the realization of his impending downfall, crossed his face. "Julia, I know I messed up. I never meant for things to go this far," he stammered, his voice lacking its usual confidence. The words meant to elicit sympathy only fueled my resolve. "Messed up? You betrayed our vows, Nathan. This goes beyond a simple mistake. You made your choices, and now you must live with the consequences," I replied, my voice steady and unwavering. The mediator interjected, "Let's focus on the division of assets and any financial settlements. Julia, your lawyer has presented a compelling case for substantial compensation considering Nathan's infidelity and the impact on your life." Nathan bristled at the mention of compensation. "This is extortion. I admit I made mistakes, but to ruin me financially." "Ruin you?" I cut in, my patience wearing thin. "You ruined our marriage, Nathan. Whatever financial consequences you face are the result of your own actions. Actions that have consequences. It's time you learned that." The mediator, sensing the futility of further discussion, moved to finalize the paperwork. The settlement was in my favor, a testament to the strength of my case and the evidence of Nathan's wrongdoing. As we left the mediation room, Nathan paused, turning to me with a look of desperation. "Julia, please, can't we just put this behind us? For the sake of what we had?" what we had. The words were a knife to my heart, a reminder of the love I once felt, now tarnished by betrayal. What we had died the moment you chose Eve over our marriage. Goodbye, Nathan. With those final words, I walked away, leaving Nathan and the wreckage of our marriage behind. The legal battle was over, but the fight to rebuild my life was just beginning. In the weeks that followed, my focus turned to the workshop and the burgeoning success of our family business. The community's support had translated into increased interest in sales, a silver lining in the dark cloud of the past months. Yet, as the business thrived, I couldn't shake the feeling of unfinished business. Nathan and Eve's social and professional downfall was a form of justice, but it was the inner work, the healing and rebuilding of my own life, that required my attention. I poured my energy into the workshop, finding solace in the creation of beautiful things. Each piece I crafted was a step towards healing, a tangible representation of my journey from betrayal to strength. The community event, once a platform for my public vindication, became an annual tradition, a celebration of resilience and the enduring spirit of our town. My story, once a tale of pain and betrayal, had transformed into a narrative of empowerment and renewal. Nathan and Eve faded into the background, their attempts to reclaim their former lives thwarted by their own actions. The community, once deceived by their facade, now saw them for who they truly were. As for me, I emerged from the ordeal stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. The betrayal that once threatened to break me had instead forged a new path, one where I stood tall, unafraid, and ready to face whatever the future held. The seasons changed, as did the narrative of my life. The community event had not only become a cornerstone for our family business, but also a testament to the enduring strength of character over the deceit and betrayal that Nathan and Eve had sown. As the workshop flourished, so did my resolve to move past the shadows of my former life. Yet, the true test of my newfound strength was just on the horizon. A year had passed since the divorce was finalized when a twist of fate brought Nathan and Eve back into my orbit. The local news carried stories of a scandal involving a significant business in town, ensnared in deceit and fraudulent activities. At the heart of the scandal were Nathan and Eve, their actions finally catching up to them in a very public downfall. The community's reaction was swift and unforgiving. Nathan and Eve, once fixtures of the social scene, found themselves ostracized, their reputations in tatters. It was during this time that Eve reached out to me, a desperate attempt to salvage what little she could from the ruins of their actions. "Julia, I know I have no right to ask anything of you, but I'm begging you to listen." Eve's voice trembled over the phone, a stark contrast to the confident woman who had once stood by Nathan's side. "Eve, you're right. You have no right. After everything you and Nathan did, why should I listen to anything you have to say?" My voice was cold, the bitterness of the past still lingering. "I understand your anger, Julia, but it's Nathan. He's in trouble, serious trouble. The business scandal has ruined him, and he's not handling it well," Eve pleaded, desperation coloring her every word. The news of Nathan's downfall, though expected, brought no joy. The man I had once loved, now a shadow of his former self, was a stark reminder of the consequences of one's actions. "Eve, Nathan's troubles are his own making. You both made your choices, and now you must live with them. My life has moved on, and I suggest you do the same," I replied, the finality in my voice leaving no room for further discussion. The call ended, but the news of Nathan's scandal lingered, a topic of hushed conversations and whispered speculations in the community. Yet, amidst the schadenfreude, a sense of closure enveloped me. Nathan and Eve's public downfall was the retribution their actions had wrought, a karmic justice for the pain they had caused. In the wake of their scandal, I found myself reflecting on the journey I had undertaken. From the depths of betrayal to the heights of personal and professional success, my path had been fraught with challenges. Yet each obstacle had only served to strengthen my resolve, to forge me into a woman who faced adversity with grace and determination. The workshop, once a refuge from my pain, had become a beacon of my resilience. The pieces we created, each imbued with the essence of our family's legacy, were more than just objects of beauty. They were symbols of a life reclaimed from the ashes of betrayal. As the scandal surrounding Nathan and Eve faded into the background, My focus remained on the future. The support of the community, once a lifeline in my darkest moments, had become a foundation upon which I built my new life. My story, once marred by the actions of others, was now solely my own, a narrative of triumph over adversity. Nathan and Eve's downfall, while a fitting end to their tale of deceit, was merely a footnote in mine. My journey had taught me that true strength lies not in the vengeance we seek, but in the resilience we demonstrate in the face of life's inevitable trials. As I stood in the workshop, surrounded by the fruits of our labor, I realized that the greatest retribution was not the downfall of those who had wronged me, but the life I had built in spite of them. My legacy would not be defined by Nathan and Eve's betrayal, but by the strength, love, and integrity that had seen me through the storm. And so, with my head held high and my heart at peace, I looked toward the future, ready to embrace whatever it held, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, I would face them with the same strength and resilience that had brought me this far. Nathan and Eve's chapter in my life was closed, but mine was still being written, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome, to heal, and to thrive.